Hi everyone, thank you for joining day 2 of Miro IPCon. Today we're kicking off with Mimosa Networks. Joining me today will be Mohsin Ali and Andrew Westerman from Mimosa themselves, and they're in charge of the EMEA region. And I do want to point out that this entire conference is sponsored by Grandstream Networks. Now, before we start, I just want to let you guys know that we have an awesome prize to give away at the end of the presentation. So if you could please stay through the presentation, because some of the answers will be mentioned throughout, and at the end we will have awesome prize giveaways. So today we'll be discussing Mimosa's new product, the A5X, which is a point-to-multipoint device, and also touch on the other solutions that Mimosa offer. And yeah, I think without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Mohsin, who will then take us through the portfolio. Thanks, Mohsin. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Trish. And I would like to thank everyone for joining this session. Without further ado, I'll get started. Before getting into the products and the solution, for those who don't know, Mimosa was acquired by Airspan in late 2018. And this have given us the opportunity to have certain benefits. Basically, Airspan and Mimosa together, it's better because they're two award-winning companies with one vision, and now we have a really wide portfolio. Airspan is basically a 4G, 5G provider, and Mimosa, as you know, it's fixed wireless access provider. But we have the opportunity now to develop some features for Airspan carrier customers as well, and those features are now available to our risk customers as well. And we'll talk about some of the features in the coming slides, which are integrated in the A5X new 2.28x software. So just a bit brief about what Mimosa is about for those who are new. We basically do hybrid fiber wireless solution. So we don't say fiber is bad. It's great technology, but sometimes it's not feasible to deploy fiber because of obvious reasons like cost that is involved, the time that's consumed, and other laborious work that is involved. So what we propose is wherever your fiber is ending, you can do wireless and give real fiber-like experience through Mimosa wireless solution. We have equipment, very wide range of equipment, like we have integrated connectorized radios, and they are suitable for urban, suburban, and rural application. The best thing about Mimosa is the price to performance ratio. We have a very good performance, but then it's not, the price is not sky high, it's very much affordable as well. And we have some unprecedented level of efficiency and technology that I'll speak about some of them in the coming slides, where you can do, you can efficiently use your scarce spectrum. As we know, the 5 GHz spectrum is really crowded throughout the world. So whatever clean spectrum is available to you, you have to use it really efficiently. So this is basic end-to-end architecture of the network, which you can deploy using Mimosa devices. So on the left-hand side, you can see is the Mimosa Cloud, which is free to use. There is no license. You can use it for any number of devices, Mimosa devices. This is basically connected to your internet. And then if this is your NOC location and your fiber is ending at a certain point, you can do point-to-point to reach the community where you want to give internet access to. And then this might be, for example, your DB location or location in a state, for example, where you can have access, or you can reach out to multiple homes. That's the point you will deploy your point-to-multipoint access point to distribute your internet traffic to the homes. And then on the homes, you can have our subscriber units, or what we call the client units. And then inside the home, you can have your Wi-Fi access point or routers to give Wi-Fi access to the phones, tablets, or any other Wi-Fi enabled devices. In certain scenarios, there can be where you have fiber already at the gate of the community or at DB, but then people are waiting for a year to get fiber to their homes. So you don't have to keep the customers waiting. Wherever your fiber is ending, for example, if this is the DB location, you can just deploy your point-to-multipoint Mimosa access points and antennas and give real fiber-like experience to the customers. Again, on the client side, on the home subscriber side, you can use our client devices. And we'll show you, we have quite a lot of different variations of client devices depending on the needs and the distances and capacities. So this slide basically shows just an idea of where you can deploy Mimosa devices, where you can use it, and these are some of the areas where Mimosa have been deployed mostly by our customers. It's not only limited to these, but these are like the top ones. So the first one is rural wireless. Basically, this is actually where the wireless ISP started. So this is kind of a deployment where you have lots of radios on tower or a high side, and you want to shoot long distance. So for that, you need characterized access point and sector antennas because your customers are in a certain direction and you have to shoot long distance. So we have some great antennas and radios to cover this area. Then we have the suburban application where you are inside the community already. For example, you are that's a state or a gated community, for example. Fiber is there already, but you need to, the last mile or the last half mile is the difficult part. So you can, wherever your fiber is ending, you can put the Mimosa point to multi-point access point and connect the homes quite close. This is an area where you have less interference, so you can give real high throughput and fiber-like experience to your customers. The third one is the urban application, where you can do building-to-building connectivity using Mimosa radios. So this can be connecting to buildings of a school, for example, or to branches of a hospital, and some other scenarios. So you can give real 1 gig throughput from your POP location to the businesses. The fourth one is, I mean, you can use Mimosa radios for any kind of wireless connectivity, whether it's backhauling for Wi-Fi hotspot distribution, or smart metering system, or even backhauling for wireless video surveillance projects. You can be really creative. I mean, anything that need wireless connectivity, high-speed wireless connectivity for voice, video, and data traffic, you can use Mimosa radios. So these are some of the building blocks of each Mimosa radio. The first one is MIMO, which is multiple input, multiple output. Currently, we are in 4x4 MIMO system because we really believe in higher throughputs. But with the new chipset, the 802.11ax chipset, we will be able to do 8x8 MIMO as well. So you will see even higher throughputs in the coming Mimosa products. The second one is quite important. The MAC protocol is TDMA, which is the time division multiple access. And this is basically chosen over the CSMA or the FTD protocol because of the modern internet traffic. It's quite asymmetric. So as in wireless ISP, you have more downlink requirement than uplink requirement. And with TDMA, you can basically allocate more time resources of your access point or your radio in downlink direction rather than uplink direction. So we have different traffic split modes. We have like auto mode 75/25, and now with the new software, we have enabled 67/33 mode as well. So this is quite an important factor where you can use your available capacity in the direction where you need the most. The third one is also a very important factor, which is the GPS synchronization. So as I mentioned before, I mean, currently the 5 GHz spectrum is really crowded throughout the world. So whatever clean spectrum is available to you, you have to use it really efficiently. And without GPS synchronization, if, for example, you have to deploy an access point on a tower or an area, for every new access point, you have to use a new channel or a new frequency, and that might not be available to you. So what you need to do is really to get use of the GPS synchronization and reuse your available clean channels over and over again, so you can give higher throughputs to your customer. And this is in sync with the TDMA. So without TDMA, you cannot do GPS synchronization. The fourth one is Mimosa Cloud. As I mentioned, it's free to use. It can be used for network monitoring and orchestration. So it's a great tool to use. I'll talk further on some of its details in the coming slides. So these are the ABCs of Mimosa products that currently we have, just to make sure we are on the same page, because different vendors have different naming criteria of their products. So A stands for access. These are basically the point to multi-point access points. We have the A5, the A5C, and the new A5X. In this presentation, we'll be talking mostly about the A5X because it's one of our recently launched products. In the B category, or the backhaul point-to-point category, we have the B24, B11, B5C, B5, C5X, and the C5C. So basically, we have radios in 24 gigahertz, 10 to 11.7 gigahertz, and then 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. Now, then we have the C category, or the client category. Basically, these are the subscriber units that connect to the A products or the access points. So we have the C5X and the C5C. You will note that the C5X, C5C resides both in the backhaul and the client category. This is because these are dual mode, so you can use them as point-to-point products and also as a point-to-multipoint clients as well. Then we have some series of antennas. These antennas are for the A5C and the A5X products, so you can use the N5360, N545X2, and N545X4. The N545X2 and X4 are basically sector antennas, and N5360 you can get 360-degree coverage. Then we have a series of antennas for the C5X specifically. So we have the N5X12, which is 12 dBi, then 16, 20, and 25 dBi dish for the C5X, and I'll talk a bit more about them in the coming slides. We have the NMS, or the Mimosa Cloud Management System, which is Mimosa Cloud. And within this Mimosa Cloud, we have the network design tool as well. So basically, you can use the network design tool to design your links even before getting a product, so you know which product you should get and what performance you should expect from Mimosa product, using which antenna, how high your antenna should be. So all these questions will be answered very precisely by the network design tool. So I'll just talk very briefly about the backhaul products. So we have basically two categories of backhaul or point-to-point products. This first top side shows the high reliability backhauls or the high performance backhauls. We call them high reliability backhauls because they have dual RF chips inside them. So you can basically operate on two frequencies or two channels at the same time, giving you up to 1.5 gigabits of aggregate IP throughput. So we have B11 in the license spectrum, 10 to 11.7 gigahertz. Then we have the B5C, which is connectorized product with N-type connectors from 4.9 to 6.2. We have the B5, which is the integrated 25 dBi product, and this is in 5 gigahertz, 5.1 to 5.8. And then we have the B24 as well, which is in 24 gigahertz. It has integrated 33 dBi dish, so it's basically meant for very short distances, like within 3 kilometers. Then the second category of the backhaul products is the cost-effective or the high-value point-to-point products. We have the C5C and the C5X. The C5C basically is for long-distance, cost-effective point-to-point links. So it has basically RPSMA connectors, as you can see over here. And you can, I mean, the distance really depends on the antenna. We have even a 138-kilometer link in Mexico as well, giving around 400 Mbps. So it really depends on the antenna that you are using. But one thing to note is you have to make sure the antenna that you are using is supporting the frequency on which you want the C5C you want to operate on. So if you are using, for example, 6 gigahertz on C5C, make sure the antenna is supporting 6 gigahertz. Then we have the C5X. The C5X is basically both the C5C and the C5X can give you up to 700 Mbps of aggregate IP throughput. And then the C5X also has an 8 dBi integrated antenna. So if it's a very short link, for example, street-to-street connectivity or within a few hundred meters, you can use a C5X radio by itself because it has 8 dBi integrated antenna as well. But as the distance increases, you can use the 12 or 16 dBi horn antenna or the 20 or 25 dBi dish antenna with the C5X as well. So introducing the A5X, this is one of our recently launched point-to-multipoint low-cost access point. You will be amazed by the performance and the features that it has. It basically has almost all the features of the A5C that you have been using previously, but it's a very cost-effective product. Some of you might have tested it already, and Miro luckily have the stock for A5X, so please try it out. And you will really love this product for the price point it has. So just to dig a bit deep into the A5X and what it has. So basically, as I mentioned, it's almost has everything as the A5C, but there are a few differences. So it supports all the range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. It has two RP-SMA connectors. It's basically 2x2 MIMO connectorized point-to-multipoint access point, and we have two versions. So we have the FCC and HC version. So for the people using it in the US and in Europe, so it ranged from 5.1 to 5.8, and then we have the RAW version or the rest of the world version, which it ranges from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. In terms of clients, it again can connect. It has the GPRS sync mode or the SRS mode and the Wi-Fi interop mode. So in SRS mode, you can connect 44 clients, but in Wi-Fi interop mode, you can connect up to 66 clients. And as I mentioned, it does support. It has a built-in GPS as the A5C, and it has you can really co-locate and do network-wise GPS synchronization, and you can enable a channel reuse. So for each and every access point, you don't have to use a new channel. You can reuse them, and it is very much meant for outdoor. So it's ultra rugged in design. It's IP67 rated. One very good thing I love about the A5X is the very low power consumption. So typically it consumes around like 9 watts of power, but the maximum can be like 12.9 watts. And this is very important and useful for application if you are doing some installment in remote area where you don't have electricity from the grid, and you have to use the battery backups or solar panels to power up the radios. So I mean, power consumption is a very important factor in that scenario, and this is a very well-suited product for that kind of scenario. One other thing is like it supports a wide range of power in DC power inputs. So it's 24 to 56 volts passive PoE. And please note that PoE is not sold along with this unit. It doesn't come in the box, so you have to get the PoE separately. And this was because of the customer request, because most of the customer, they use their own PoE switches, or they are powering up by battery backups or solar panels systems. So then if you sell them the PoE injector as well, then it's kind of wasted money for them. So it's quite a flexible solution. You can use your own PoE injector, or you can order PoE injector from Mimosa. We have a new 24 volts PoE injector specifically for the A5X and the C5Xs as well. So you can use that one as well. Again, as I mentioned, it's a very flexible solution as it has two RP-SMA connectors. So you can use it with any dual polarity antenna. You can use it with Mimosa and 545X2 as well for a very high performance 45-degree sector. But basically, you can use it with any antenna. It has, if you see the backside of the A5X, it has a rocket mounted integrated. So I mean, any rocket dishes, you can just mount this directly onto them, and you are good to go. In terms of performance, it's really fiber fast. You can get, as you can see the charts, we have different traffic splits. So if you are using like 50-50 traffic split mode, aggregate throughput can be like 730 Mbps of aggregate IP UDP throughput. And then if you do like 67-33 traffic split, you can reach up to like almost half a gig on the downlink, and 235 on uplink. The aggregate still remains the same. And then if you do 75-35, you on the downlink or on each side, you can get more than almost half a gig of throughput. So that's really amazing throughput for the device or for the price that you are getting the A5X on. So it's really great performance at point-to-multipoint access point. I've put some rate versus range charts because people usually will ask like, how far can you get with the A5C? So basically the A5X. So the A5X basically is a 27 dBm TX power, and then depending on the antenna, you can get as far as you can. So basically, this chart is showing 36 dBm of EIRP. So EIRP, for those who know, is the TX power plus the antenna gain. So we are limiting, this chart is limiting basically the EIRP to 36 dBm, which is kind of a legal limit allowed by most of the regulatories. So just to give you an idea, I mean, if you are like at 7 kilometers with 80 megahertz channel, you can still get like 500 Mbps, half a gig of IDP, UDP, IP UDP throughput. So it's quite amazing, and that's if you are using the the A5X with the N545X2 Mimosa antenna, and on the client side you are using C5X with N5X25 antenna. So that's kind of like the best, the sweet spot, or the best products put together for high performance. Yeah. So now people will ask mostly like, where does the A5X fit in among other Mimosa access points? So there is, I mean, you can be creative using one access point in certain scenario, but basically the A5 or the quad sector access point is meant for micropop solution, where you are in the community, for example, and you want to connect houses quite close to the access point, like within 300, 400, 500 meter distance, and specifically in the areas where aesthetics is quite a concern. So for example, if people don't want to see cables going on from the radio to the antenna, and they don't want to see a big thing on a tower or on a rooftop. So I mean, A5 is very classical device in that kind of scenario. The A5C is basically for the the long range GPS sync beamforming access point, where if you want to reach really far with really high performance, A5C is the product to use, because it's 4x4 MIMO system, and you are using Mimosa N545X4 or other 4x4 antennas. You will get the benefit of beamforming, and you can get really long distance with the A5C. So the A5X it's quite flexible for places where you don't need beamforming. You can use the A5X. It's like from short to mid range, but depending on the antenna, for example, if you are using a high gain sector antenna, you can go long distance with the A5X as well. And again, you can use it for micropops as well. For example, it has RPSMA connector. So if you connect it with any dual polarity omnidirectional antenna, you can use it for micropop solution as well. Again, all of these access points have GPS synchronization. They support a very wide frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. So this is kind of a bit of technical comparison between the three access points that we have, the A5, A5C, and the A5X. So I won't go into each and every line, but I mean, the differences is A5X is 2x2 MIMO, 2-port access point. It's our RPSMA connectors. The throughput is the same as other access point. The difference comes here, where you, in the Wi-Fi interop mode, you can connect 64 clients. But again, 64 clients are quite much. I mean, typically what we see, the WISP are connecting like maybe 10 to 15 or mostly 25 clients. That's it. And then it has a 27 dBm of TX power, and this is the maximum power consumption is 12.9 watts. Typical power consumption is around 9 watts. And as I mentioned before, you can power it from 24 to 56 volts DC passive PoE. So it's a very wide range of input power selection. But again, a PoE injector doesn't come in the box with the A5X. You have to purchase it separately, or you can use your own PoE switches or PoE injectors as well. So as I mentioned, we have been working a lot on the software side as well. So we basically, these are some of the features that we developed for the carrier customers, but they are all available now on the 2.8.x firmware. Currently, we are on 2.8.0.2 firmware, which is the latest version, and you can use it for the A5X. Before going into the features, I would like to make a note, like for the A5X, if you're using A5X, you have to use the 2.8.x firmware, and the client devices should be on the 2.8.x firmware as well. if you are on the A5C or the A5, then they should be on the 25X firmware, or which is the 253 is the latest version, and the clients should be on the 253 as well. So coming to the software feature side, the A5X does support the 2.8.x firmware. We have introduced a new traffic split of 6733, and this is because of as these days most of the people are working from home, so it's not only the downlink requirement. People are doing IP conferencing, conferences calls, gaming, etc. So they need a bit more of the uplink. So we have introduced 6733 traffic split as well, apart from 7525. We have now very extensive QoS enhancements where you can really, define your TOS settings or the class of service or DSCP points, and you can really prioritize them. We have different priority, like the weighted fair queuing priority, or other options are available as well. So we have really an enhanced version of the QoS on the 2.8x firmware. We have the IPv6 enabled now. We have the SNMP version 3. We have enabled some alarms as well on the A5X or the 2.8x firmware. So, for example, if your fire rate is dropping from a certain level, you can put a threshold on that as well, and you can get alarm on your SNMP or syslog or both. And then if your throughput is for example, falling from a certain threshold value, you can get alarms for that as well. Then we have another very interesting feature of service suspension, where you can disable client internet. So this is, for example, for wireless ISPs, for the small ones, which for the customer, if the customer haven't paid you and you want to disable the internet for them, you can do that on their client device as well. But this doesn't mean you will lose management to the client device. You can still have the management traffic to the client device, but it's just only the data traffic to the client device will be disabled. Then we have the client host table limits as well, where you can limit the number of clients connecting behind the C5X or the C5C, the client device. You can even whitelist or blacklist certain MAC addresses as well. We have zero touch provisioning with the CP option 67, so you can kind of automate your deployment. We have really detailed Ethernet stats for the clients available on the GUI now. So you can see like how many multicast frames are there going on, how many broadcast frame, unicast frame, etc. The number of errors on the frame. So it's quite a lot of statistics available now. Ethernet port configuration options are available. MDNS GUI access is available now, and we have lots of other web UI enhancements as well that you will see on the 2.x firmware. So what's in the box? For the A5X, as I mentioned, you have one A5X with IP67 gland. And just to repeat, we have two versions of the A5X. So first one is the FCC HC version, and the second one is the RAW version supporting extended frequency range. We have the installation and user guide. So just to repeat again, the PoE injector or the NID, or the host clamps, they are sold separately. Again, you can use your own PoE switches, or you can order the 24 volts PoE injector from Mimosa, which you can use with the A5X or C5X or C5C as well. So in terms of the antenna, or what is the best possible combination for the A5X, you can use the A5X with the Mimosa N545X2 antenna. This is basically to give you a very high capacity, long range, 45-degree sector. On the client side, we have several options. We have the C5X with 8 dBi integrated antenna for the very close clients. And as the distance increases, you can use the 12 or 16 dBi horn antennas, or the 20 or 25 dBi dish antennas. So this is all. This all plays really well because all Mimosa products and all of these products support a frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz, whether it's the access point or the antenna for the access point, or anything on the client side. So if you look at the N545X2 antenna, it has the industry best front to back ratio, which is 43 dB. And this is quite an important parameter because if you have a good front to back ratio, that means all your energy is moving in the forward direction from the antenna, and there is no leakage coming to the backside and the side lobe. It has very good side lobe rejection as well. So basically, this is a 19 dBi 45 degree sector antenna supporting a wide frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. And since it's 2 ports, so you can use it with the A5X as well. Going a bit deep into the client side, so we have the C5X, or for that purpose, you can use C5C as well. If you have a long distance client, you can connect it with like 30, 34 dBi dish and connect long distance client. But for, normal distances, you will be using the C5X. And this is a single CPE for all scenarios. Like if you have a client very close, you can use the C5X by itself with 8 dBi integrated antenna. And then as you move further, you can use this 12, 16 dBi horn or the 20 or 25 dBi dish. So basically, you can get up to 700 Mbps of client throughput. It's IP55 rated, and again, the power consumption is quite low as the A5X. It's typically it's 9 watts, but the maximum can be up to 12.9 watts. And then this is quite a flexible radio because the technician can go take a C5X and a couple of antennas in the truck, and then if he installs the C5X and feels that, for example, with the N5X12 antenna, the signal strength is a bit low and he needs to have better signal strength, he can just get another N525X, N5X25 antenna from the truck and just install it, plug it to the C5X, twist it on, and the installation is done. It doesn't have any connectors or pigtails, so it's kind of a direct installation with zero loss and very quick installation. You just twist on the antenna around 3 times and then the installation is done. So it's very quick installation. To make things easier for the client sides, we do have the Mimosa app as well, which is available on Android and iOS. Basically, you can use the Mimosa install app for upgrading firmware, for unlocking the device, for easy aiming from the mobile app. So you will hear like audible voice from the app when you are aiming the device or the client device. Then you can really automate the installation as well, where you can apply policies on your Radius server, because we do support A02.1x Radius authentication. You can enable the Radius subscriber service profile, so the technician just have to unlock the radio through the app, install the firmware, aim the device, and that's it. All other parameters will be given from the Radius server and Radius profile. So it's kind of a zero-touch provisioning if you use the Mimosa install app. So it's quite very quick and easy installation. As I mentioned before, we have Mimosa Cloud, and it's again free to use, no license. It's a very great tool because it's lots of features. Anyone can use it, and you can use it for any number of devices. You can use it for upgrading firmware as well, so you don't have to go to each and every device to upgrade firmware. You can schedule the upgrade from the Mimosa Cloud, and it's a great tool. For example, if you click on each and one access point, you will see the client count, the throughput going through each and every client, the spectrum of each and every client, the health of each and every client, even in downlink and uplink, and lots of other features are available on the Mimosa Cloud as well. We do support SNMP version 2 and 3 as well, so if someone don't want to use the Mimosa Cloud, we do provide the MIP files, and you can use your own SNMP managers to monitor the links. Within the Mimosa Cloud, we have very great network design tool as well. I'll really encourage everyone to use the Mimosa network design tool. It's free to use. And you can basically model your network even before purchasing the Mimosa radio. So as I mentioned before, you can put the coordinates of your access point, select your access point, the antenna for the access point, and then it will show you the coverage and which antenna or which client device you need for the performance that you are expecting for that client. So it's a very handy tool. It has you can generate the BOM as well for the whole network. So you will know like which product you need for each site and for the whole network. We have enabled the multi AP view as well. So if you have a tower and you have like 3 or 4 or 6 access points, so you can see coverage of all the access point from that location. We have the foliage estimation options as well. So it's quite a great tool to use. It has lots of options. So please do use the tool and get the benefit from this tool. So we had quite a good success in that region with our customers, and there has been some very good success stories. One of them is Kichose Group, and Pardon reached out. The CEO of Kichose Group reached out to us, and he basically wanted to serve his community Limpopo because there was no internet at all, but he was looking for a very reliable, efficient, high performance equipment, but at the same time, since it was new and he was investing his own money, so he wanted to be very affordable as well. And he looked into quite some options, and he finally chose Mimosa. We supported him, with deployment, with technical design and everything. And the people of Limpopo, he mentioned, like for the first time they browsed internet and they were so happy, and they have deployed quite few access points. They even engaged their own people from Limpopo village, and they had a really great experience, and now they are going to deploy Mimosa solution in most of other villages and to schools and other places as well. So it's a great success story over there. We have some great success with over-the-water links as well, because this is kind of an issue in most of the places. So this is one of the links in San Francisco and Farallon Island, where these links are going to a research center where it's a research center for animals. So basically on the right side, which you see is the Mimosa B5C radios with 2 dishes. So these are basically 2 parallel links going to the same location, and this is for redundancy. So if one link's failed, the other link will still be up, and they will never lose the link. So it's a great deployment type over the water, and we are getting very stable performance from these links. The other deployment type, it is one of our other customers in the US, where they are deploying within the city. So basically you cannot obviously dig more for fiber within the city. So wherever your fiber is ending, you can use the Mimosa backhaul radios and give real fiber-like experience to the customer. And from your POP location, you can use several links, even if you have few clean channels available, because you can make use of the GPS synchronization and reuse your frequency over and over again. So just to wrap it up, the Mimosa A5x is out. It's there available with Miro. So they have quite stock of A5x. Please try it out. It's a great device, giving you 700 Mbps for quite low cost. It's IP67 rated, so very rugged in design, and it's kind of full featured. Like the feature that I've mentioned, there are other features which were not included in the list. So it's full featured and very a great product to use for point to multi-point deployment. Drish, do you want to talk about the prize giveaway?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mohsin, for that. So guys, is the prize that we'll be giving away?
There is an echo.
Am I echoing? Mohsin, am I echoing?
Yeah, you are still echoing.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
It's still an echo, but
okay, but Mohsin, if you could just tell them to scan the QR code for a nice prize, and we'll get in contact.
Okay, Drish, if you can mute, I'll explain. I guess I got what you want. So I mean, the guys who have joined, you can just scan this QR code for the prize. So I think Drish will be in contact with you for the lucky guy who has won the prize. So yeah, if you have any questions, I would like to thank you all again for till the end. If you have any questions, you can go ahead, or probably you can be in contact with Trish from Miro, and we can get back to you with your questions. But we have a chat box. I'm looking at the chat box. If you want to ask any questions, please go ahead. We have like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so there is a question to put the QR code up. So this is the QR code. You can scan and contact Trish. Okay, so we have a question from Charles saying integration with existing Ubiquiti equipment. Are there any problems with that? So not at all. As I mentioned, the A5X has kind of a rocket mount at the back. So for example, if you are using the rocket 17 dBi sector antenna, you can just replace the rocket radio with the Mimosa A5X. You can mount it directly behind that antenna, and you will get like super performance with extended frequency range and higher capacity. And it goes the same with the C5C. For example, if you are using the rocket RD5G30 LW dish, it has a C5X can mount, C5C, sorry, can mount directly on the back of that dish. So you can just replace that radio with the Mimosa C5C and increase your capacity, have an extended frequency range, and get all the benefits from the Mimosa software and Mimosa reliable radio. There are other antenna options as well. We have a video on the A5X on YouTube. Probably I can share it with Trish. But if you go to Mimosa YouTube channel, you can see that for the A5X, you can use, any of the RF elements antennas as well, because they have a twist port adapter for the A5X. So if, you are already using the RF elements antennas and you are happy with that, you can use those as well.
Okay, I think my sound is working.
Trish, I think you're still echoing. And okay, does the A5X talk to Ubiquiti clients? That's a good question. Basically, the A5X does support the Wi-Fi interop mode, so which is kind of a general Wi-Fi 802.11ac protocol. So if the Ubiquiti clients support the Wi-Fi interop mode, or for example, if they support the 802.11n or AC Wi-Fi protocol, then yes, they can connect. But the new Ubiquiti CPEs, which supports only the AirMax protocol, they won't be able to connect to the A5X. But the old CPEs like the M5s, those does support the 802.11n protocol. So those can connect to the A5X in the Wi-Fi interop mode. You cannot connect them to A5X in SRS mode or GPS sync mode, because that's Mimosa proprietary protocol. And in that protocol, you can only connect Mimosa clients, the C5C or the C5Xs. Okay, is there any other question? Okay, Drish, there are no more questions. So,
Yep.
but guys, if you have any other question or if you want to know more about the A5X or any other Mimosa products, please reach out to Drish or ourselves, and we'll be happy to have a call with you or give you more information in any way that you need. But thanks again for joining this presentation. Okay, there is another question pop up. What is the best Mimosa equipment for clients? So it really depends on the distance, but I mean, mostly you will be using on the client side the C5X, and I would suggest to use the N5X25 antenna with the C5, which is 25 dBi dish. It has a very good side lobe rejection, front to back ratio. So on the client side, the best thing to use is the C5X with N5X25 antenna. But if it's a very long distance client, you can use the C5C as well, and you can use any like third party 30 dBi dish or 34 dBi dish if it's a very long distance client. Any further questions? Okay, guys, I think we are running out of time already. Drish, do you have any ending remarks or any ending notes before we close this session? Okay, it's all good. And Drish, I've posted my email address and Drish's email address in the chat box. So please reach out to us if you have any questions or if you need any further information. So thank you very much and hope to see you soon all.